So today I'm going to can pears. Um, and these are Bartlett pears. And I have to tell you, the last time I canned pears was a couple years ago. And I did Anjou pears. And they were so much simpler because I didn't have to peel them. So this morning I started off peeling the Bartlett pears. And I don't like peeling Bartlett pears. So I talked to Mel and he said, don't bother peeling them then. Because actually when we eat them raw, we don't peel them. So, and I found that with the Anjou it didn't really make any difference to them. And I use them for pear pie, or we have it as a dessert, the canned pears. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do some of the pears in 1 cup jars, and then I'm going to do the rest of the pears in pint jars. Pint jars is what I'm going to put into for pies, and I'll need 2 pints to a pie. And then when we have like a fruit salad or something, I'll use the little 1 cup jars, just because I don't need as much, and then I don't have them sitting in the fridge. And not only that, but I only have a dozen pint jars left, and I believe I have 14 quart jars, and that's all the jars I got left. I have canned everything else. So far this year, I have canned over 200 jars. Beets, beans, corn, pickles, zucchini, and now pears. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm not peeling them. You do wait till they're yellow. There's a nice beautiful yellow to them. So what I'm going to do, how I'm filling these little jars, is this side piece that that you cut off is what I'm putting in the little jars, and then the big jars I put. What am I going to do with my scripture? So I water bath these, and my stock pot is which is what I water bath in. It will take 7 pints, and you water bath them for 20 minutes. So I'm going to do up the 7 pints, and then I'm going to put the stock pot on for water bathing them. You put sugar in them, in the water, and I use 6 cups of water and 2 cups of sugar, which is a light syrup, because I don't like really sweet canned fruits. Sometimes Mal squawks because it does their stuff's just not sweet enough, so he adds a bunch of sugar to it, and that's fine. He shouldn't, but he does anyway. So now, because my water was not ready when I started these fruit, I took and filled the jars up with water, just plain water, so it stops them from discoloring. And I just covered the jar. Pears will turn brown. They're like an apple. You expose them to air, and it will turn brown. So I have got my mix all done now. So now I'm going to cover my jars, cover my pears. And I probably didn't do enough syrup for a batch. So I'm going to have to do up another syrup. Oh. So completely cover your fruit in your syrup, because the exposed fruit is going to turn brown, and you don't want any, it's just not appetizing to have brown fruit. Alright, so I'm going to finish filling these jars up. I have to make some more syrup, and I will chat with you in a bit. Okay, so I got my 2 loads ready. So again, don't forget to wipe off your jars, the top of your jars, with just a damp cloth. It doesn't need to be, they're starting to say, oh, vinegar, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe in it. So I just use water. I've been using water for, let's say in Canada, just about my whole life. Never used anything other than a damp cloth on my jars. And I have had 0 problems with sealing. My jars have all sealed just like they're supposed to. Again, when you're wiping your jars, you're checking for any cracks or chips. Sometimes you can't see them, but you can feel them. So, alright, I'm just going to fill these jars up. I got my next batch of syrup ready. I'm going to find my measuring cup. Oh, here it is. Now, because I'm doing pints, it's 20-minute water bath. Alright. Right, that's all I need. Said my canner holds 7 pints. And I just heat my lids. I don't actually boil them. I just heat them, and then I put them on. You bring them, you tighten them hand tight, like firm. Not crank it down so it's, just put them on so that they're firm. Alright, my canner. So, make sure you have something in the bottom of your canner to keep the jars off the bottom, or the bottom of your stock pot, in my case, so that it keeps the jars off the bottom of the cooker. And I have these, like they're all wire coat hangers, that I wired up so that they will fit in the bottom of my stock pot. You can buy a regular canner with racks and everything else, but for the amount that I actually use one, like I use the stock pot, for me is multi-purpose, and yes, the canner could be multi-purpose also. But sometimes shit's just not in your budget. And that's usually the case with me. So I have the 3 of these, and they all fit differently depending on what I'm putting in. All right. Look. And you cover the jars with about a 1-inch headspace on top. Just enough ripe pears to do this today. So 10 pounds of pears, because that's what that box was, has given me 7 pints. And 10 half pints. And I'll have 4 pears left over. So everything's in the pot. I'll bring you back when I'm taking it out. 20 minutes of boiling. And yeah, that batch is done. Okay, I'm just going to put the lids on these little guys. My water in my pot is almost at a boil. And we have power blitz. Right. So if you're thinking of doing some canning, might be a little too late this year for some stuff. Start looking for your jars now. So that you have everything that you need to do your canning when it comes season next year. So you can garage sale 99.9% or of marketplace, everything that you need. And 9 times out of 10, the stuff that you use is the stuff you already have in your house. Like, oh, a stock pot, a large pot. You need a pot deep enough that you can put a 1-cup jar into it and cover it with a 1-inch headspace. I have 3 different pots that I can use depending on the quantity of jars that I have or the quantity of food I'm doing. And so this is one of my jars, my pots, and it will cover, these jars can be covered with water in it. Then I have another one, it'll actually hold pint jars, and that's this one here. It'll hold a pint and cover it for water bath. And then I have the stock pot. The beauty to using your own pots is they usually have lids. And when you put a lid on the pot, it heats faster. So, yeah. So there's, what do we got here? There's my pot almost boiling. I'll bring you back when I go to take the jars out. Okay, you can see that my pot's boiling. So it is 12:54. In 20 minutes, it'll be quarter after 2, quarter after 1. And I'll take them out. To do pears, or to do most fruit, all you need is a pot, jars with lids and rings, canning tongs, and a knife, and a towel. And the towel is to put the hot jars on to give them a bit of a cushion, and then you just let it sit there till they cool. So canning is easy. It's a little time consuming, but it is still easy to do. Your initial investment sometimes is a little steep, because especially if you have to buy brand new jars and lids. But like I said, once you've paid for them, or once you've bought them, they're yours. You get to use them, fill them up as much as you want. Get yourself a good canning book. Ball's got one out, Kerr's got one out. Join a couple groups, Facebook groups, or yeah, find a couple, and you can, anything you think of, you can can. Your processing time is whatever the longest processing time is. For vegetables, I think corn is one of the longest ones. I can't remember what the time is on it. Beef is another one. So anything that's got beef, pork, chicken, any meat, anything that's got that in it is pressure cooked 90 minutes for pints at 10 pounds pressure for me. And pressure cooker books all have different instructions and stuff for them. At one time, I used to water bath beef and pork and chicken, and it was 4 hours at a boil. And that's like forever, especially when you're putting up produce for 9 people. Anyway, I'll bring you back again once we have the jars come out. Okay, time's up. The canner is completed. As I stated before, when you take your jars out, make sure you tip them away from you. And your fruit will float, so it's not anything to worry about. Alright, so now I'm going to put the second batch in here in the little pint jars. So there's my canned pears. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. Good luck if you're trying to can. Get yourself a good book. Filter the information you get from 100 other people and build your own. Okay. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.